What if I told you there was an RV park so close to New York City you could see the skyline and the Statue of Liberty from your front door? Would you dare drive your rig there? Because we did. Stick around to see how.
Welcome to Wandering Roots. We're Travis, Carrie, Rylie, Tripp, and Piper. We've spent the last 9 months traveling the United States full-time in our Class A motorhome. We sold our home in Utah in search of something more. Welcome to our story.
This video is sponsored by wine.
Box wine. When you
4
live
bottles.
in an RV.
Box wine is the best.
Box wine.
You can fit 4 bottles in this space. This big. And it's actually not that bad.
I have a question for you guys. Would you drive your rig into New York City? Or not into New York City, just across the Hudson from New York City, because that's what we are about to do. Are we crazy? We'll see. Maybe a little bit. We're gonna take you with us. So here we go. How you feeling? So the RV park we're talking about is called Liberty Harbor RV Resort, and it is only 15 minutes from New York City. So actually it's in Jersey City, which is right across the Hudson from the full skyline. You can see it from the RV park. So I found this RV park searching online. The kids, ever since we left Utah, their ultimate goal for some reason was to get to New York City. Travis and I have been there in the past, so it wasn't as high on our list, but the kids, super high on their list.
So Carrie found this place when we were in Florida and said you had to drive through the city to get there, and driving this 45-foot beast, I said no.
Yeah.
We went back and forth. She said yes. I said no.
Yeah.
Eventually she won.
Well, no. Eventually I was like, no, this is a terrible idea. We'll stay like a couple hours from the city, maybe leave our rig, put Piper in doggy daycare, and go stay in a hotel for a few days. We'll drive in or take a train in. But then we came across somebody who had just left there at a different RV park in Boston, at Normandy Farms in Boston. We came across a guy who had just left there in his huge 40-something foot fifth wheel, and he said,
no problem.
No problem. He said it was easy. It wasn't a problem.
I could have punched him in the face for that.
But, so ultimately, it wasn't just my decision. We both mutually decided to go for it.
I researched it. I Google mapped. I street viewed it. I went through and followed it and found out it really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So it is doable.
So we had originally planned on doing it as we were headed up the East Coast, so we would have hit it from a little different direction, but we ended up doing it after Maine and after Boston, so this caused us to actually have to drive right through Manhattan or New York City, only on the freeway. But it was an adventure.
Yeah, there was a clearance on a bridge. It was 12'10", so if you're any taller than that, I believe it's the 287 you have to take around. So if you have a GPS that monitors your height, use it. Be careful. Don't go through downtown Manhattan. We're 12'8", so I cleared it by 2 inches. So that was like a butt squeezer.
It was only it was only one lane of the bridge though, and it was the lane that we were in, but we couldn't get over. But all of the semis were in the middle lane, and we were in the right lane.
Because you can't change lanes. There are.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing it, be in the left lane, not in the outside lane. But no one will let you over, and it is just like bumper to bumper, thick traffic.
But for me, sitting in the so I didn't drive, but for me sitting in the passenger seat, I imagine this drive being way worse than it was. And even when we had to go across the Washington Bridge.
Washington Bridge.
So we went across the Washington Bridge, and right before we got there, there was a semi that was broken down right in the middle of the lane. So that caused all the traffic to go into one lane. So there was a little more traffic than I feel like typically would have been there.
It would have been flowing a lot better.
But it might have actually been nicer because everyone was going so slow. We didn't have like a lot of weaving in and out, you know, so it might have actually been like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, you're not like, this exit.
Yeah. If you want to stay at Liberty Harbor RV Park, go to their website. They have directions on their website exactly how to get to their RV park. So you don't want to just follow your GPS, because our GPS is for trucks, and then our phones too gave us completely different directions. Then if you go to their website and look up their directions, that's what you want to follow, because they tell you exactly the most direct way to get there.
Not only direct, but where you have the widest turning radius. Because I believe it was if it sent you down Grand Street, don't go there. You want to go over to Christopher Columbus, then down to Marin Boulevard, and then it takes you straight in.
Yeah.
Really, once you get off the freeway, the road curves, and it's 2 turns and you're there.
Yeah.
But do not go down Grand Street, because it is a tight turn to get in there. Follow the directions to Christopher Columbus Boulevard. I believe it's Boulevard to drive. And then to Marin, and then you head straight in. Just follow those directions they have on their website.
And their website gives you directions whether you're coming from the north or the south or the west.
And their website gives you directions on how to leave.
Yes.
Well, actually, not a website. When we got there, they gave us directions in the pamphlet of how to get out of there too, which was nice. And getting out of there was 2 turns and a big wide U-turn, and you're back on the 76 and out of there. So.
And even getting there was only, as soon as we got off the freeway, it was 2 turns to get there, and there was bus lanes, so it was easy to maneuver the turns. It wasn't tight turns, and it's in Jersey City, which is right across the Hudson from New York City, but it wasn't a super busy with cars city.
No, it wasn't, no.
Yeah. One more point when you're driving there, and I would say this is probably the most tricky thing, let's see if Travis agrees with me, was the tolls. We have some clips, or some video of us going through the tolls. The tolls were so tight. Like driving through, we barely fit through the tolls. So that was probably the scariest part of the whole drive. They don't have truck lanes or...
No, a lot of the tolls you go through, they have
big
truck lanes for big... Well, the big trucks are going through. But they usually have a wider lane for wide loads, because sometimes there's 12-foot loads.
Yeah.
On semi-trucks that can get through those things. These were more like you're driving your Prius, taking this where a Prius would go. It was like...
It was tight.
Yeah.
So take your time. But as soon as you get to the RV park, it's worth it. It was worth not having to drive into the city or take a train in and pay all the extra fees, pay to put Piper in doggy daycare and pay to put our rig somewhere. And you're right there. Jersey City is a great little city. It's clean, it's nice, and it's literally 15 minutes from New York City.
Okay, you're going to want to take the PATH train to get to New York City. You're going to walk. It's a half mile from the RV park back up to Christopher Columbus, where you turn to come into the RV park. And on the opposite side of the street, you're going to find the PATH station. Just go down there. You can buy a week-long pass, which we didn't realize until our last train ride. So you can buy a week pass and use that to get back and forth. It'll take you directly to World Trade Center. It's 2 stops here at World Trade Center. And kids...
All kids, they didn't say an age.
Kids ride for free, which we didn't find out. So we were paying twice as much every time we rode. And
we were sliding the card for every person, so our card wasn't working at one of the things, and there was
security, like the transit police.
He came up and he was like, well, kids are free. We're like,
serious?
Great. So they're free for the metro, the subway, and the PATH train, which after you get off the PATH train, you can go and catch a subway to wherever you want to go. But they're free, so they can just go through with you. I guess if you both can fit through the turnway, they're free. I mean, not adults, but kids.
Yeah, kids. I mean...
Yeah, so we didn't realize. So we were paying...
Double,
which... Oops. Kind of stunk, and we also didn't realize we could have bought unlimited and then we wouldn't had to have paid for every single, because we used the subway and the path
And it's
quite a bit.
$275 a person each time.
Yeah.
So we were losing $550 every time we took the kids.
So another way that you can get to New York City from the RV park is a ferry that leaves right from the RV park. So while we were there, it was only running early in the morning. It was more business people, I think. So it would run in the morning and then in the evening.
But on the weekends,
it runs all day.
I believe it ran every hour.
Yeah. And you can also walk over. It's probably a little bit further than the PATH train. You can walk over and get on another ferry that goes all day long, back and forth.
Yeah, that's probably maybe a half mile that way, that direction too. To find that ferry, there's the Colgate clock. Just look for that on Google and just go up the Hudson River just a little bit and you'll see the ferry right there.
So the PATH train, I feel like, was nice. If you're going to Central Park or Times Square, it drops you off at the World Trade Center, which then has different gates you can go to for all the different metro trains. So you can get pretty much anywhere you need to get on metro from the PATH train. What we did in New York City with kids and how we saved a lot of money. So what we did is we purchased the New York Pass, which I'll put, this is what it looks like, what the website looks like. So our tickets were around $500 for all four of us. I bought the 3-day unlimited pass. So what that did is it's, I feel like, hundreds of attractions. You can visit as many as you can in the 3 days you have. So what we did was we did the big bus tour, which that's included in it. We rode that around, saw the city, got the tour, and then what did we do?
We also did Ripley's.
Oh yeah, Ripley's.
We did Ripley's, believe it or not.
And then we went to this was the first day, then we went to the top of the rock, which was the Rockefeller Center.
That was really cool.
Yeah, we went up there and it was all included. We also took the tour of the Rockefeller Center. It was raining, so we didn't go outside, didn't get the real tour. Wasn't that awesome?
Yeah, if it's raining, don't do the tour.
Yeah, don't do the tour. But it was all included, so we didn't pay extra. And the next day we came and we went to the Museum of Natural History, which was really cool. And we also went to a new place called The Edge. The Edge, which is 100 floors up. It had a glass floor that you could walk. I was so scared to walk on this glass floor at first. But then I got, I don't know, used to it. It's so cool. It's actually 100 floors up and it's open air. And part of it is glass. Tripp loved the glass.
Tripp was like laying on it, making like snow angels, and he was loving it.
Yeah, so that's a beautiful view and included in the pass. Oh, another thing about day 2, which I feel like we should share. After we went to the Museum of Natural History, we went across the street to Central Park and there was food trucks like all along. Well, so we found one. They had gyros.
Gyro.
I said gyro. They told me it was gyro. But, so we got 2 gyros, a pretzel, and a burger.
And 4 drinks.
And 4 drinks. And we didn't ask. They didn't have prices listed. We didn't ask. $65. The one next door had prices, and it was like $8 a euro.
$8 for a euro.
Yeah. Go somewhere that has their prices, or just ask before.
Ask first.
Yeah, because we were like, and we should have said something. We should have been like, wait, they're $8 next door, but we just paid it, and then we were like, great. We got ripped off.
But Tripp did find a Metro card later that day that had $20 on it.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of a discount thanks to Tripp's luck.
Yeah, for sure. So on day 3, we went to the 9/11 Memorial Museum, which is under the fountains and where the Twin Towers originally stood. It was a bit heavy for Rylie and Tripp. They're 9 and 11, and I think it was a little bit, just heavy for them to accept. I don't think they really realized the magnitude of what happened that terrible day.
Pictures of all the stuff that went on that day. They had fragments of steel that were from the buildings. It's built over the top of where one of the buildings stood, so you can see all the supports that are still on the ground. There's a fire engine down there, so it's really good to see, but depending on your kids' I don't know your maturity level, how they're going to handle it. I mean, use your own discretion when you take them there, but it was really, really interesting to see, really good for them to see the realities of life, but yeah, just questionable. Yeah. With our kids, it was questionable.
On age, yeah. It was heavy for
them. They
them.
were borderline between understanding why it happened and how it happened and why someone would do that. So
they just don't quite have the thought process or the understanding of why things or like things like that actually happen.
Yeah, they were like, why would someone do this? Why would someone? That's right. He kept asking, why would someone do this? So
yeah. So it was definitely heavy, but I think a good experience. Okay, so another thing we did that day was go to the Statue of Liberty. We took the ferry across, and we've been to New York a couple of times before, Travis and I, and we've never made it on the ferry to go see her in all of her glory. The kids absolutely loved seeing her up close.
Rylie.
Yeah.
Rylie was like, her must-do thing was the Statue of Liberty.
It was on her bucket list for sure. So the ferry takes you over, you can get off. It also takes you to Ellis Island, which we didn't do. We just rolled it over and kind of saw it, but we did not get off there and go see that because we had tickets to go to the top of the One World Trade Center, the new World Trade Center that they built there, to see the views, and that was actually really cool.
Yes. It was really cool also because the storm rolled in.
Oh, yeah.
So while we were up there, you have a view of the city, and then you see the storm coming in. You're so high because it's 1,776 feet to the top, 1776. But you can see the storm coming in. All of a sudden, it just engulfed the building, and it was just clouds. You could see nothing. So
it was really cool. Well, and on the elevator on the ride up, there's like
it's like full screen elevator, so it shows like
like you're riding up, and then you get off, and you're in front of these huge screens that are showing you like New York City and all these different cool things, and then it rises up and you see the view.
And it's like, oh!
Yeah, it was so cool. It moves, and yeah, it was a really cool experience. I would say, even though that one doesn't have any open air like Rockefeller Center did and the Edge, it was really cool, and I think I liked the view from that one the very best.
Yeah, because you can see the Brooklyn Bridge, you can look straight down and see the World Trade Center Memorial.
Yeah.
The Hudson River. There's that. You can see that.
It was really cool.
There was that driving range right there on the Hudson.
You can see the Empire State Building and everything.
Yeah, you can see New York, basically.
Yeah. So that was probably my favorite view of all. So we went to the top of 3 different buildings. We didn't make it to the Empire State Building, which is also included. But, so the thing with the New York Pass, we saved. It cost, for the 4 of us, it cost around $500 to buy the tickets. They were having a sale. But I added up all the admission costs. We would have paid like $1,074. So we ended up saving $574 on just the things we did and there's so many more things that we could have done. So if you plan it right, you could save even more. But I would say definitely, if you're going to New York, especially with kids, and you want to see all of like the top tourist attractions, buy the pass. You'll save money for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Do the bus tour. I would definitely do the bus tour. That way you get the lay of the land. If you don't know where everything's at, we do the bus tours everywhere we go. That way, day 2, we always know where to go.
Yeah.
So do that for sure. And then from there, just hit it. Hit it hard. Get up early and hit it hard. And you can definitely get your money's worth out of that pass.
Okay, so another point we want to make is about the safety of New York City post-COVID. So I posted on our Instagram account, our Wandering Roots Instagram account, us in New York City and about the RV park that's just 15 minutes away. And we got a lot of questions and comments and concern about the safety of New York City post-COVID. So I just want to make it clear. I mean, we were safe. We weren't out at night. We were in Central Park at night. New York is New York. There's homeless people. It's a city. It's a big city, and it's like most big cities.
But it's a touristy city, so there are a lot of people there. New York City has over 30,000 police officers. There's probably 10 undercover ones for every one you do see. So
yeah, and you see them out.
They're there. There's a strong presence, so it's not.
We felt safe. compared to the other times before COVID that we've been in New York, it felt like there was less people because I think people still aren't traveling as much. And so it was a really great time for us to go and bring the kids. We were in Times Square and there was a lot of people there, but it wasn't like wall to wall people like it typically is.
No.
So another point we want to make is about Liberty Harbor RV Resort. So this place, 15 minutes from New York City, but the word resort is used very loosely.
Like it shouldn't be used.
It's not a resort. It's a parking lot.
It's Liberty Harbor RV parking lot.
They have water electric sites. They have one dump. And you are literally, I could reach out and touch our neighbors from our front door. It's tight. Backing in is tight. We saw people having a lot of trouble.
Yeah, almost hit our
backing
slides.
in. Yeah.
We saw Rob from Survivor camp next to us for a
We
night.
did.
Yeah.
That was so exciting.
We were looking out the front window and the guy, they pull up and I'm like, that's Boston Rob. Kind of, looked like him but not certain. But
Yeah.
next thing you know, they turn around and he starts backing in and he was like backing, he did a good job backing in, by the way.
For sure.
So I went out and asked him if he wanted me to pull my slides in. He's like, no, my wife's back there guiding me in, but it was kind of cool. So you never know who you're going
Yeah.
to see there.
It's definitely just a parking lot. There's really not room. There was a table outside, but there wasn't really room to sit in it. You're there to see New York City and the sights, so it was fine.
Yeah.
We stayed 4 nights, right?
4 nights. It's a place to sleep in your own house,
Yeah.
RV. You can also, they have tent camping sites. So if you do just want to drive your car there, and they do have tent camping sites, they have bathrooms, they have showers you can use, so you don't have to drive an RV there.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to stay in New York, maybe for a night or two in a tent,
Yeah. And it's definitely the closest you're going to get to New York City in an RV. And I would recommend it. I think it was easy enough, depending on how confident you are driving your rig. But it was easier overall than I think that we thought it was going to
Yeah, I
be
thought it was gonna be
originally.
hell.
I know. He's stressed for, I think, months.
I stress about every stop. How do I get in? How do I get out? But this was not bad. I've had worse,
Yeah.
much worse.
Yeah. Well, that's what. So we drove through San Antonio. And during rush hour.
During rush hour when it's getting dark.
And we had to make so many freeway changes.
Yeah, it's like exit right, exit left, be in this lane,
This
not
was
that lane.
like driving through New York was so much easier and more straightforward. There wasn't a ton of hurry, get over to this lane. It was pretty straightforward and easy. And yeah, just
Yeah.
those toll booths go slow.
Yes. Speaking of toll booths, makes me want to eat a potato. Okay, it's not a potato. This is a Unipass. It works from Florida to New York to Maine. You just suction it to your front window, and as you drive through the tolls, it goes bing, it says toll pass accepted, and you drive straight through. You do get a discount when you have one of these versus paying cash. You don't do the pay by plate, which charges you more. These are great to have. We have 2. Why I had this in the foil is it's radio frequency. So this one's for the Jeep. The foil will hide the radio frequency so it doesn't double charge you. But the one we have in the motorhome works. We always leave it there. And if you're pulling your Jeep, it counts your axles as you go through. So you do pay the correct toll with it. So these are like 15 bucks on Amazon, and the discounts you get by having these will pay for it in no time. So highly recommend these. We'll link one of these below in the comments. But
Yeah, and it saves you a lot of time because you don't
yeah.
have to stop and pay cash or pay the toll booth. You can just drive right through and it automatically charges your credit card. Okay, so we hope this video was informative to you and that maybe you'll decide to take a little adventure and go to New York City in your rig because it's worth it. It's fun. There's a lot to do there.
getting there isn't as bad as you think it is.
Definitely not. And getting out was pretty easy too. We're gonna leave you with a little footage of us leaving the RV park, Liberty Harbor RV Park, and you can just kind of see for yourself how it went.
It's easy.
Yeah, it was easy. We had a great time. It's a memory for the kids that's gonna last a lifetime. Go to New York. It was fun. How many people can say that they've RV'd to New York City?
I I can.
Anyways, if you have not hit the subscribe button, please do so. We would be so thankful. We're so happy that you guys are here. And come back next week because we're going to be showing you our time in the Finger Lakes and Niagara, upstate New York. So come back and see our adventures there.
And we're also on Instagram, and we started TikTok.
Yes.
So get over there to TikTok too.
Yeah, you can find us at both. We're wandering.roots or .routes, however you want to say it.
We say routes, you can say routes.
Yeah.
Just as long as you check it out.
At both. But yeah, thanks for being here. We'll see you next week.